So this is the Champions League quarterfinal, semi-final draw. I think if we step away from WSL for just a second, because we will come back, PSG versus Wolfsburg is a real tough test for PSG, who've been not fantastic this season. Seen them a few times. I think Wolfsburg have been not necessarily cruising, but we've seen a lot of very good football from Wolfsburg. Maybe a slight stumble against Roma that they corrected quite fast. I think that's a really tough one for PSG and the team that faces Wolfsburg in the semis. Coming back to that in a second. Also, we've got Roma versus Barcelona. I think this is about the worst draw Roma could have had. It's their first season in the Champions League, so this would have been their first knockout anyway, which will always come with completely different pressures. But they've been really fun. Roma, they've been sort of the surprise package. They've been doing phenomenally well in Serie A as well. They're I think anyone but Barcelona, and I think you're saying Roma have a really fair chance there. But Barcelona are in great form, as they always seem to be. Again, did lose a Champions League game against Bayern Munich in Munich. I think just the game plan was on point from Strauss that night. But that will be a real tough test for Roma. I think this could be, I think, very safe to say this is where their Champions League maiden voyage ends, unfortunately. And on the WSL side of things, we've got Bayern Munich versus Arsenal and Lyon versus Chelsea. I think Bayern got a new coach. We've seen some good stuff from them this season. We've seen some less good stuff from them this season. I think you can take the two Barcelona games they've played in the Champions League. The away game in Barcelona, when they got it very wrong, and they only seemed to get worse throughout the course of that game. And then the game they played at home at the Allianz, where they got the game plan right, they stuck to it. They had a little luck with Barcelona just not really being able to finish when they did get in, but some very smart football from a good team that are developing. So I think that's going to be a really tough one for Arsenal as well, who, as we know, as of late have struggled for goals. They're still trying to find the connections between new players, still trying to find a system that works without Miedemar and Mead. So yeah, another tough draw. I mean, it's the Champions League quarterfinals. It's going to be tough, but I think that might be a little one, that the little bridge too far for Arsenal. And of course, finally, Lyon versus Chelsea. If you cast your mind all the way back right to the start of the Champions League season, when Arsenal went to the Parc and absolutely hammered Lyon in a way that no team had done in, possibly ever. I think definitely well over a decade. But Lyon do have players coming back from injury. We've recently seen sort of like Ellie Carpenter getting minutes again. So this Lyon team is not the team it was, not even the team it can be with all the players they've got, but they do have players returning: Carpenter, Marijan, Macario. So definitely, if you're a Lyon fan, the outlook looks better. Chelsea, again, I think so many teams, we've seen good stuff from them this season, we've seen less good stuff. But Chelsea generally find a way of winning regardless, or scoring a goal and getting a point where needed, even though they've not been at their best either in WSL or in the Champions League. I think Chelsea have probably been at their best in the Conti Cup, which has only been 2 games for them so far. But I think this is actually just a really interesting tie, because we've got this Lyon team that are still, they're a completely different team under Sonia Bonpastor than they were under, Pedro Vasseur or Pressure, or anyone who's come before. They're trying to play more pragmatic football, and doing so with so many injuries in their squad, although they do have players coming back. Chelsea, haven't. I think they flattered to deceive a bit. So I think this could be a really good 2 games. But this could also potentially be just a really awkward 2 games. But I think this is, of all the ties, this is the one I think is a little bit harder to predict. I think that the semi-final draw was made, so it's going to be PSG or Wolfsburg versus Bayern Munich or Arsenal. And that could very, very easily be an all-German affair. I think with what we've seen from PSG and Arsenal, I think you'd have to favourite Wolfsburg and Bayern Munich there. And in terms of Lyon or Chelsea versus Roma or Barcelona, whoever goes through from Lyon or Chelsea, there's, I think, I'd say about a 98% chance that they're going to face Barcelona, which is, we know that Barcelona have struggled against Lyon in Champions League finals, but they also have a history of struggling against French teams. I think they've only beaten French teams once in the Champions League, and that was a couple of years ago against PSG, and that was not an easy one for Barcelona by any stretch. So I think Barcelona will probably actually rather have Chelsea there, just because they know they've beaten them before as well. And yeah, not a French team they struggle against, but I think that's again, Lyon Chelsea, wide open. No idea on that one at the moment. We'll see come March.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.